right. Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. So I guess, why did you call me and why did you want to meet with me today?
Well, I mean, as you know, I'm here at Delta. Thanks for
Mhm.
coming in, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we want to talk to you a little bit about what Boeing has, and we're in this stage right now in our business where we're looking maybe to branch out and to expand a little bit with our fleet. But so we're just trying to do some market research, I guess, to see what the different companies have to provide.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So where are you guys? What's causing all this growth?
Well, it's not necessarily growth. It would be just a revamp of our current fleet.
Oh, gotcha,
Right.
gotcha. So what is the state of your current fleet? Why do you want to revamp it?
Right. So we currently have Airbus. We've been with them for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just a few things in the planes that we feel that we could improve on if we could find the proper things that we need and the things that fit our criteria.
Mm-hmm.
For example, some of the avionics inside the planes are a little bit older, and we try to update them periodically. But just at this point, we feel like because we could just do a traditional update again and put new technology and new seats and things in the planes, but it might be a good time to just get the whole new planes all together. So
Gotcha. So I guess tell me about some of the features and the things that you're wanting to upgrade, and maybe some things that you're wanting to add that are lacking from these Airbus planes.
okay. I think the main specific one I mentioned very briefly before is the cockpit, so the avionics, what our pilots are dealing with. They're a little outdated. They can be frustrating, and obviously, like with new planes and newer technology in planes, there are a lot of other things that come in with that, like just the speed and the fuel efficiency, and all those things are important to us. But the main thing right now are the avionics, and then those are important too, the speed and that. But I think everything that's offered with a new plane will be important to us in our business right now.
Gotcha, definitely. I definitely agree that avionics are one of the most important parts of the plane because of everything that it regulates, from engine speeds, engine usage, to all of the different metrics that it tells you. What's your pilot's opinions, I guess, of the current avionics systems?
Right. They frankly don't like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What about it is...
Well, I mean, it's just... So, I mean, you know, pilots, they know what's available, and it's not available in the planes that we currently have.
Gotcha.
So, it's just frustrating, and just like any time that you're using an old computer, an old cell phone, like, and it's going slow or it's a little finicky, especially with something as important as flying a plane, it can be frustrating, and it does wear on our pilots.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely understand that. So, does it cause a safety issue to have out-of-date avionics in terms of like communicating with the different airports, communicating with other airplanes that are nearby?
Right. Good question. So, even though our electronics are not like the most up to date, we in no way make it unsafe.
Okay.
So, like legally, we're in full.
Okay, perfect.
There's no issue there.
Awesome. Yeah, just wanted to make sure, like, see, kind of.
No, that's a risk that we're not quite willing to take, you know.
That's
so
definitely a good thing. So, have you lost any employees, any pilots because of the avionics to other, I guess, airplane companies? What are they called?
Airlines.
Airlines. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you lost any pilots to other airlines because of this issue?
I mean, employees come and go always. We have lost a few pilots. I'm not sure if it was solely because of the avionics.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if they were improved avionics, if they would have stayed. That's hard for me to say, because I feel like when somebody leaves company, it's because they have either another offer or there's more than one underlying problem.
Yeah.
But there have been a few pilots that have left, and avionics are definitely on their list of things that could be improved.
Gotcha. Have you had a hard time getting more pilots because of the out-of-date technology?
You know, this is kind of a similar situation where like we are hiring pilots. Pilots do love to come work for us, but I do think that it could be one more thing that would be a draw to us. So it's hard for me to say that pilots are not coming to us because of that one small problem.
Yeah.
However big or small
It just sweetens the mix a
But
little
it does sweeten the mix.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I definitely understand trying to make your business more appealing to other people.
Right.
So, I guess what is the overall impact that this has company-wide because the avionics aren't as good as they could be?
Well, I mean, you mentioned earlier that like the different things like the avionics, the tools, the communication, the different readings that we get, like it affects more than just like the pilot's usability, I guess. So I do think that there is a little bit of maybe we've already mentioned a little bit of satisfaction loss with pilots, but there are some smaller things with just like plain performance that is affected, and that obviously has an effect on so many aspects of our business. I can't pinpoint just one. If our planes aren't doing what they need to do, then it has a big effect on a lot of different areas. So, I mean, sorry to be vague with my response, but there is an effect. Like,
yeah. So with avionics, they control stuff like the engines, and so I guess does that affect? And the engines control how much fuel you're using. Do you think that as your technology has gotten older, because it isn't regulating fuel as best as it could be, that you're spending more, just as an example, on stuff like fuel?
yes.
Gotcha. So
Hate
there
to
could,
say it, but yes.
yeah. So there could be some extra costs. So do you spend a lot of money on maintenance for the avionics?
Maintenance really isn't our biggest issue right now, to be
Gotcha.
honest. So,
Just the tech?
yeah, it's the tech and the performance of the flying planes. So you mentioned fuel efficiency, and that is a issue that is being affected by us being a little bit outdated.
Gotcha. Do these issues cause any kind of flight delays?
They do some.
Gotcha.
Just and very little of them are maintenance related, but and that's with the plane as a whole, not just the avionics hub. But there is like lost speed. There is with fuel efficiency. Sometimes we have to fuel up a plane during the layover port, and those could be like that refueling period could be bypassed until the next airport. In some scenarios and things like that. So there are some associated delays.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how much does that cost you for all those delays?
A lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you think it affects your customer satisfaction?
Well, we, especially at Delta, know wholeheartedly that the customers are actually the ones who paid most of the delay fees. And customers lose a lot every year in delays in the whole airline industry. and I think that there's not a person who's ever flown that hasn't had a delay, and we all hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Delta. I don't think that it stands out more than any others, and like they're delayed more often.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there could be a huge benefit in being the airline that is delayed much less.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
I definitely agree. If I know personally, like whenever I book a flight, it's like, oh, I remember the last time I was on that airline, it was delayed, so I book another one.
Right.
But I don't usually have that many problems with United, so, or Delta, not United. Delta.
Yeah. No. Yes. I understand.
So, I guess, is there anything that is lacking or is not being done because of all of these issues?
Well,
like, I guess, I'll rephrase it a little bit better.
okay.
What else could you be focusing on, and what else could you be doing instead of trying to, like, replace an entire fleet because the avionics are going bad?
Right. So, I mean, obviously I'm a buyer here, and I do focus mostly on the airplanes, the fleet. There are other things though that could be on our plate, like instead of dealing with the entire fleet, we deal a lot with small like parts and things like that. So I'm wondering if even just having new planes would gratefully lower my load with how many parts and things like that I'm ordering. One thing I think that could be beneficial that I'm personally thinking of is that, and I'm not personally very much involved in this aspect, but with new fleet comes a whole new area of like marketing and things like that would be exciting for me to see.
Yeah.
And so there are some cool things that could be associated with Boeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you mean in terms of additional marketing?
Just that I was on a flight not too long ago, and I opened up the magazine, and it was this was before I worked here at Delta, and admittedly it wasn't on a Delta flight, but it had like the specifications of the fleet that they're updating, and I just feel like people seem to care about that. So even if they don't know what it means. So honestly, our planes right now, they do work fine, and they we haven't seen a loss of business, but I'm wondering if we have the potential to see a growth in business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess how much resources do you think that you would be able to save in terms of, I'm thinking about the pilots, I'm thinking about money in terms of like all the gas that you're spending, because the avionics aren't regulating the fuel as good as it should be, as well as in terms of the money that's paid because of all the delays that happen. How much money do you think you'd be able to save through getting a new fleet?
Well, new fleets are expensive, but talking about the pure savings, I mean, it's in the, over what period of time? I mean, over a year, it's in the high millions, you know. So over like, I know that we would plan for our fleet to last us about 27 years, like of full operation. And I think it's usually about 35,000 flights, you know. And so it's hard for me right now to say exactly over that whole time span how much, but it's significant.
Gotcha. So kind of as I mentioned earlier, just to recap, we're looking for planes that have reliable, up-to-date avionics that can especially help manage fuel efficiencies and speed to get your planes where they need to be, when they need to be there,
Right.
in the most efficient, cost-effective way, as well as, I guess, be displayed and laid out and intuitive for your pilots,
Right.
if that makes sense. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Those
Gotcha.
would all be nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So those are actually a lot of the things that we offer in our new Boeing Max line. So we actually recently upgraded all of our
Right.
Max 737 line. So we just gave so there's 4 different kinds of planes within the line. We've got the 7, 8, 200, and 9. And they're basically just different because of their size. So they have different baggage sizes, different amounts of seats. Just overall plane size is different, and that's the main indicator between the different types of planes. But regardless of which ones you'd like to purchase, every single one of them, we actually just equipped with new avionics, and as well as new engines, wings, and just a slew of other updates, like small ones, like more comfortable seats, more intuitive, like, the life preservers, like a lot of little random stuff in the plane got updated, but we actually updated pretty much everything in terms of our large systems, with a special focus on avionics, since it is something that we realized as an industry kind of slowed down in terms of growth. So we spent special attention to upgrading the avionics, and it's the most recent top of the line avionics that's out there right now. I guess obviously we're meeting, so it's something that you're interested in.
Right. Yeah.
How many planes are you looking at getting?
We need 48 new planes.
48?
Right.
Gotcha. So I have a spreadsheet here of the different kinds of models that we have. And so how many seats are you looking at?
Well, with 48, and like we've done a little bit of like our own personal needs research, and we have determined that we do need about an equal number of each. So like 12 of each one, because these would go to a variety of different airports of different sizes and of different flight lengths and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, seems like every airport has different kinds of planes.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So just calculate, 12 of every single plane, and just calculated right off the bat, our standing is at about 5.4 billion. What I guess, is that within your range right now?
So the 5.4 billion, that's like the, is that the Boeing's like suggested sell, or where does the so is 5.4 billion like the industry average sell, or is it like the suggested like retail sell for Boeing, or how is
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. So the 5.4 is kind of like, because I'm one of the top representatives for Boeing, I actually get certain prices compared to other people within the company. So these are actually my retail prices, which is slightly lower than the average retail price and the industry average in terms of these planes, with all of the upgrades that are included.
Right. Sorry, just give me 1 second.
No worries.
So, frankly, the 5.4 billion isn't quite where I'm at,
Yeah, sure.
and where Delta is at. And I think the problem with it that I have to look at is that there's a lot of associated fees with changing a fleet.
Yeah.
So, for example, our salvage fees of our planes that we already have and things like that. And so overall, our total budget does not have room for $5.4 billion for the updated fleet. So tell me what you can do
Sure.
here for me as far as that goes.
So we can work out a couple different things. How fast do you need these planes?
So it varies. So we need. I'm sure that y'all usually, is it usually 9 months or so that you?
Usually, yeah.
For about half of the fleet, we do need 9 months.
Okay.
We could be lenient on the other 24 though, for sure.
So you need 9 months?
Right, but that would be for about half of our fleet.
Sure, and then the others, it doesn't necessarily
I mean, we
matter.
don't want to wait years for it, but
Yeah.
for the others, it could be, I guess, up to 14, 15 months.
Gotcha. Well, I can definitely do the 9 months for half. Let's see. So I should actually be able to do the 9 months for all of them, since it is the industry average.
Right.
It's something that we aim to hit every single time. So if you need them in 9 months, I can actually get you a full new fleet within 9 months and
Right.
save you guys some holding costs for your old planes and just out with the old, in with the new type thing. And let me just run some quick numbers here. Okay, so for the 48 planes, we talked about how you need more fuel efficiency a little bit, and that is mainly in terms of the avionics. All of our planes already have the top avionics line that comes with them, but one extra service that we offer for our planes is actually we have more fuel efficient tanks and lines that we can run throughout the plane that save you even more fuel. So despite the fact that there's newer engines that are more fuel efficient and newer avionics, there are other things that we do in terms of the actual fuel
Right.
lines and that kind of stuff that make it 4% more fuel efficient than every other plane on the market nowadays. I could add that in. So working on the Max 200 and the Max 9, so half of your planes, we can add in the increased fuel efficiency system into the planes to help sweeten the deal a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, well, And that's all great, and like we would definitely appreciate that. My concern is that with the situation that I'm currently in, that those all of the details about the plan are great, and like we're definitely interested in these improved avionics and things, but I'm struggling to see that. Like if we were to shake hands right now and sign that deal, that it would take too long of a time for the people who aren't in this meeting to see like how that improved fuel efficiency and the improved avionics has financially.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. So,
so how much do you, I guess, normally spend in gas per plane?
I understand, personally I understand the savings of the fuel, and I know that over time it'll have a huge difference, especially like from where we currently are. My problem isn't the overtime payment, it's the payment right now.
Yeah.
It isn't the savings over time, it's the payment right now. So I agree that the fuel efficiency it's very important to me, and it will have an impact on the deal that we're going to be able to make here. But right now my primary focus is on that 5.4 billion.
Gotcha.
So I'll be honest with you, my current budget is right around 5.2 billion.
Okay.
And there might be some things that I can do to talk to other people about like the fuel efficiency to make a deal more appealing to them, but it isn't a $300 million upfront deal changer, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. So, one thing that I could do is, I do have a bulk discount that I can offer. It would take off 200 million, so that would get you to your 5.2 budget. But the minimum offer for it is actually 50 planes.
Really?
Yeah.
And we're doing 48.
So, if I scratch the fuel efficiency additives, then I can give you the price discount for the 48 instead of doing the 50, so that it's at the 5.2 price that you want it. And it's still the second most fuel efficient plane on the market. It's just, instead of just including the extra lines in there, it would be the 48 planes that you want with the top of the line avionics that you want, and then I can throw in that discount so that it gets you to your budget.
Yeah, that sounds very good. Will you remind me what was the number on that again?
The total?
Yeah.
5.2 million?
Okay. Billion?
Billion, yeah. Got a score!
No, that sounds great. And these planes are, that sounds great. And then you said that those could all be in the 9-month period?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think that is something that we can do.
All right, perfect.
Yep.
Sweet. That was probably the worst one I've ever done in my life.
Me too.
I was struggling.
This negotiation is so far in the past for me.
Same. It's like the negotiation, merging. It's like, it's easier to a degree, but I mean, it's partially my fault. I guess I could have gone and done all this research about planes
Yeah.
and like all this other stuff. Like, it was a lot easier when it was something that I was
knowledgeable about.
more familiar about.
Yeah, and you're asking me questions like, how much money on fuel efficient? I'm like, I don't know if I should say 2 million or 200 million. Like,
Yeah.
it's so.
Like, I don't have any
I know it's a lot.
perspective, and so it's like,
Yeah.
I didn't like asking those questions. Because I was like, I don't want to be asked those questions. I don't know the answer either, but I didn't know what else to ask.
I was kind of laughing at myself because I was like, I'd be fired so fast because I'm talking about like the experience I had on another airline, you know. And
I know, and then I said, what did I say instead of Delta?
United.
United. I was like,
Yeah.
Glad there's another comprehensive case after this one.
You know that when I know we're still on video, real quick. You know that when Nike had Steph Curry into their office for their like pitch, they forgot to change They forgot to change the name of a different athlete to Steph, and so that's why like he walked out of Nike's office right there and was like, "You're gonna give me this cookie cutter presentation and forget to put my name in it and stuff."
Oh my gosh, that is awful. Dang.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, I definitely had a hard time with this. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna struggle real bad.
This case. So I have empathy. I'm not worried about it.
It's okay.
This is not my proudest moment either.
That's okay.
I did better with peppers selling to Brother Megan than I did with planes.
Yeah. So. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, Hannah. Thank you for allowing me to come in.
Yeah, of course. Good seeing you, Evan.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Delta right now.
Yeah, sure. So pretty much, some of our planes are a little bit out of date.
Okay.
And I'm just looking around, trying to get a refresh, trying to, just get an update of all our planes.
Right. And you say out of date, so I know the average time for a passenger plane to be in commission is about 27 years. Where are they on that?
Yeah, so we're at about 22 years at some of our planes. Yeah, some of them are a lot, I don't say a lot newer, but some of them are more at 17, and we're just looking for a nice revamp.
Right, and are you looking to replace those planes or add to the fleet?
We're mainly looking to replace a lot of our planes.
Yeah, and do those planes have, how much salvage value do they have left? Are they?
I mean, we're looking probably tops 30% for some of them.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, we know that Delta right now is, like you said, they're looking for a change, right? Tell me a little bit about why we're here, why I'm here for Boeing.
Gotcha. So pretty much, it was my job to research and figure out the suppliers that I think would fit us the best, and now that I've kind of chosen who I thought might be able to fit Delta the best, I'm just kind of vetting them out, seeing who will actually be the best fit.
Yeah. So what criteria did Boeing fit to make you feel like we could be a good fit for you?
Gotcha. So I was looking a lot at being reliable, both in terms of the technology and the machines that you're manufacturing, because that's obviously important. I don't want my customers...
I feel like we have the best in the world, so I understand that. Keep going.
I don't want my customers falling hundreds of thousands of feet out of the sky, but I'm also looking for a reliable partner, so whoever I'm working with personally, I want them to be reliable. I don't want to have troubles you know, trying to reach out, trying to contact them about problems that we're having, and then not getting any response back.
Okay, so do you currently use Airbus, is that right?
We have Airbus, but we also have some Boeing planes
Right.
as well.
Right, and I remember reading that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but primarily your fleet has been Airbus. Have you had to reach out to them frequently, or?
Kind of. It's more recently as the planes have gotten
Right.
older, but for the most part, the relationship is pretty amicable with Airbus.
Yeah.
It's nothing that, like, I would complain about per se.
Right. So what specific business could we be helping in the reliability? Is it for ordering parts, or is it for general maintenance, or?
I think beyond any of that, I think it's creating a good base plane that's going to last for a longer time, so that we don't have to spend as much on maintenance and
Right.
as much on all these things. Like, as much as I want a great partnership, for me, a great partnership means I don't have to contact you all that often.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I am contacting you, it's like, hey mate, how's it going?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just friendly
Right.
conversation, rather than like a lot of business and a lot of redundant, like, maintenance this, maintenance that, having problems, if that makes sense.
No, yes, absolutely.
So the base product is what I
Right.
was kind of drawn to. It seems like you guys have a longer lifetime of that first product before.
Yeah, absolutely. And to go with that, like, you said that these planes are mostly about 22 years old, and it kind of strikes me as maybe a little inconvenient that they should have a good 5 or 6 years left, and that you're already having to reach out and maybe look for alternatives. So you've mentioned the base plane and your increase in maintenance that you've had to do. What are the specific areas of the planes that you currently have that are failing you right now?
Gotcha. So we have some problems. We hear a lot from my mechanics that the planes are just breaking down a lot. So
Yeah.
just in general, like, we cannot fly them. Like, they are in the hangar getting maintenance.
Right.
They're not flyable.
How long do those maintenance?
Obviously, just like any sort of situation, it depends
Right.
on whatever damage it is, but generally sometimes planes can be out for weeks, sometimes they're just out for a couple days.
Right. And are those breakdowns or maintenance needs, are they found before passengers are on, or are they are already on the tarmac and a light comes on? When are these?
For the most part, we find them before,
That's good.
luckily.
Yeah.
There have been some time, like, fluke periods where there was one time where one of the baggage loader guys, like, left one of the carts behind the plane, and for some reason nobody realized it, and the plane, like, started running it over and the tire popped, and it was just suddenly it just hit in the right place and the right time, and, like, I don't know, must have been a Monday, you know what I mean, or like a Friday evening, and they were just ready to go have fun. Like, I don't know what was in their minds, but, like, sometimes it's just fluke, but
Right.
for the most part,
Yeah.
other than, like, the freak weird accidents that only happen in the airline industry, apparently,
Right.
they generally happen before, is after we unload customers, after we unload well, I guess they are customers,
The passengers.
the passengers, and we do our routine checks. That's
good.
when we find it.
That's good. So, you've mentioned the maintenance team quite a bit. Are they the ones that are hounding you kind of the most about it?
Yeah, they're the ones that are getting at me the most, more so than anyone else.
Right. Who
just
else has mentioned these problems? Like, does it have an effect on the pilots?
It doesn't really have. This issue in particular, does it have any effect on the pilots? I guess they could get kind of frustrated if like they had something that they wanted to do that evening,
Right.
you know, like
They're, like, trying to
whatever
get
city
home.
they end up
Yeah.
landing in, you know what I mean? So they can have troubles, but mainly it's the maintenance team, and then it does impact obviously like the finance and the accounting teams, because you're spending more trying to get the replacement parts,
Right.
you're spending more on labor hours, and like overtime hours for maintenance employees are crazy.
Right.
Like dealing with some of these unions is not fun, so.
So every time that a plane breaks down, it's been pretty expensive for you then.
Yeah.
That's hard to hear. And it sounds like the pilots and the passengers are kind of in the same boat. It affects them as much as it affects maybe missing a connecting flight or.
Yeah, because it does cause a delay to tow the plane away from, I don't know what it's called.
The gate.
The gate, thank
Right.
you. I was going to say parking spot. To pull the plane away from the gate and replace it with a new one. So that does take time.
Right.
And if you've got some pristinely planned travel plans that leave no leeway for stuff like that, it can cause problems with our
Right.
customers for sure.
Okay, so it sounds to me though, just in a little bit of a recap, I'm trying to understand as best I can to make sure that we can provide and actually have a good relationship here. It sounds to me like maybe that isn't your biggest issue though. Maybe like please correct me if I'm wrong, like obviously we both know that customer satisfaction is huge,
Mhm.
but it sounds to me like your maintenance team could be, and like the general cost of parts and labor hours of the maintenance is one of your biggest.
Yeah, maintenance for sure.
Tell me,
Planes breaking down.
are there any like legal liabilities with the current issues that are happening?
No, we make sure we have got, despite them sometimes being a pain because they're unionized, they're good at they're good at what they do.
Yeah.
So we always ensure that we get the correct parts and that it's fixed correctly. When we fix an issue, it's fixed for years. It's not like the same thing is breaking down and you're taking, it's like your car. It's not like
Yeah.
we're taking to the same dumpy mechanic and he isn't fixing it correctly. You know,
Right.
like they're doing a great job at fixing some of these problems, especially some of the major ones. And we haven't had problems with them ever again after they're fixed. But it is, it's like once one thing falls off, you know, you fix it, but then another thing
Right.
falls off on the other side.
And that goes right back down to, like you mentioned, the base plane.
Mm-hmm.
How has Airbus responded to your issues? Have they owned up to any of it, or?
They've owned up to some of it. I mean, we can't disregard the fact that age is a big issue, and a lot of this is happening after age and after a lot of use,
Right.
rather than the base product. So I can't necessarily blame Airbus for a lot of it. They've been really cooperative in terms of getting it fixed. I'm just trying to see if there are other planes out there, which I think yours could be one of them, that can handle the same wear and tear and possibly last a little bit longer. Because if
Absolutely.
not, I'll just stick with what I've got, because I've got a great relationship with my Airbus guys.
Right.
And I would be more than happy to just partner with them again, because we've had a great experience with them. But if there are planes that can save me the money and the time and my maintenance team and maintaining my relationship with my maintenance team better, then I'm willing to replace my fleet with a different brand.
Absolutely. So, I'm thinking about just a couple bits of information that you told me. Like, for example, that this is after 22 years and you're having these issues, and I assume because we're here that they've been happening for at least a few years. That
Yeah.
the maintenance has had to happen. With the expenses of all the maintenance that you've already done, and like I mentioned before, I know the industry average of replacing a fleet is usually 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
If you, we want to prevent you from having any problems in the future, like we've mentioned. That's why we're here. Like, we feel that as far as our plans go, that we could do that. I want to understand a little bit more about, like, if you didn't have to worry about this finance for another 5 to 8 years, from that 27-year average to like the 30, which is kind of the suggested max. If you didn't have to worry about this huge expense now, where could your resources be going?
I think we could invest more of our resources into customization of our planes.
Yeah.
Making Delta a more unique experience and
Right.
differentiating our experience some more from some of our other airline competitors. I think that's mainly where they would go.
And then, do you have ideas of, like, have your design teams and stuff, just this kind of curious, you don't have to have the details of it,
Mm-hmm.
have ideas of how you want to differentiate your planes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as Delta, we differentiate as a more, like a higher brand. It's more priority travelers. They want to be more comfortable. So I'd love to invest in more comfortable seating, more comfortable spacing in between the different seats, as well as different fluff amenities, to be honest, you know, like nicer bathrooms, nicer toilet paper for the bathrooms, you know, like nicer food to be offering. We were looking at like DVDs in the back, like DVD players in the back of the seats, or not DVD, but like media players, so that you could watch movies or TV shows, that kind of stuff. So just to create that, make it a regular experience to have that high class experience.
Right. That's awesome. So with that, and that's obviously your mind is with your passengers there and your customers. How do you feel like having all those things would affect your overall sales?
I would hope that they would increase.
Yeah.
I mean, I think as travel is becoming more and more commoditized, I think we'll start seeing more differentiation between different types of travelers. So there's the people who just want to travel the world and have fun, and they're just looking for cheap airline tickets.
Right.
And obviously we want to be able to appeal to some of them, which means not every amenity under the sun is going to be offered. But I also think a main part of our business, even right now, is catering to a lot of business travelers and people who need more space, who want more space, who want those extra things. So I think that we would be able to capture, although we would be losing out on some market share of the wanderlust segment, I guess, we would be gaining a lot more share in terms of the business traveler, the more, I guess, elite upper class travelers that want to be comfortable.
Yeah. Which I'm under the impression take up most of the airline industry shares anyway. It's like business travel, so I think it is a great plan that you have. With all that said, so just another little recap. The things that, when I think about my plans and what will be best for you, the things that I'm looking at, and tell me if there's anything that you would like me to add. but is creating a good base plan to provide for your maintenance teams and for the cost of parts to for the team to be happier and cheaper, and the parts to be cheaper as well, and for those planes to last longer than they currently are, and save in that way. And then you want a good relationship with Boeing or with whoever you choose, which I hope is Boeing, which I can vouch for. That's going to be there. I mean, we are proven as a very reputable, easy to work with company, and that's why we're so successful. And I feel like that's one of the primary reasons why we are so successful, aside from our great plans. And then you'd like some leeway with how to design the seats and the interior to provide for that customer satisfaction, and to appeal to that. We want to lower breakdowns and make that all easier for you. So with Boeing, we've been proven to have great planes. I believe that y'all already have some, and the feedback that we've gotten from you about those planes, I mean, obviously we're sitting here, so that's not an issue. We'll be able to deal with that for you. And we believe that just the quality of our planes will take all those things off of your shoulders, as far as like the labor costs and materials costs and we're not going to say that you're never going to have a problem, because that's ridiculous with anything mechanically, but we'll be there working with you on that, on whatever the problem is, and making sure that you have the right part and the part in time, and that we're giving you the deal that is required, that makes the most sense. So with that, let me tell you a little bit about our 737. So just to get an idea of like what specific quantity that you're looking for, we have the 149 seat, 189 seat, 200 seat, and 220 seat. And so the base of the plane on that is they're all constructed the same. It's just the size. It's just how we scale. I'm wondering, well, first off, what specifically quantity and seats are you looking for? Quantity of planes and of seats.
Yeah. So I'm looking to get about 40 planes, and just from corporate, from Big Boss, he wants me to get 10 of each, so that we've got the seat variety.
Right. So, with the 10 of each, I also have a spreadsheet here. Not that we've seen one from you already. Let me give you a little bit of an idea of where we're at with that.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second to make sure that that's all there.
All right.
Yeah, so with the 10 of each, we have, these are our different seat numbers, and then these are the prices that they are. And these are our base price for this amount of seats, how the plane comes out of the factory. This is for 10 of the 149, that comes out to $960 million. And this is the total $4.5 billion for all 40.
Okay. I guess my determining factor now is how quickly can I get these delivered?
So, as you know, the industry average is about 9 months. How quickly do you need them?
So I'm gonna need them in about 4 months.
4 months. 4 months does put quite a bit of strain on us.
Yeah.
I believe that we could do it.
For all of them.
Are you planning on are you planning on these planes all coming out at the same time, same date?
We would like them to, but it's not necessarily detrimental if they don't. We would just do a priority system based off of maintenance,
Right.
speed, age.
That does put quite a bit of strain on our factories. I do believe that. I don't want to sit here and say that we can get them all out in 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could. I will sit here and say that we can get you 75% of them out in 4 months.
Okay. If you can get, let's see. Math, my brain math is not very good. So that's 30 planes. Which ones would you get out first?
Yeah, that we could prioritize for you.
So it doesn't, I guess,
yeah,
matter.
It's not about the materials. It's about the factory space.
Okay.
So yeah.
So size of airplane doesn't dictate factory space.
Not
okay.
here, no.
So that sounds good to me. And since we can customize, I guess, what planes we get when. Let's do. Just trying to figure out how much of each. Okay. Okay, would it be possible to do 6 of the 7s, 7, 8, 8, 209, 9
Okay.
to get those 30 planes? Is that
So it's 6, 7,
8 and then 9?
8, and then 9. Yeah, I don't see any issue there.
Gotcha. And what, I guess last thing, what are all the features that are offered on these planes? I think it's the only thing that we haven't really covered yet, so that I can compare them to what.
No, yeah, absolutely. So, as far as features go, and you've mentioned a lot about the base plane. I know that we've proven to have like the best material, the best construction methods and things like that. Along with like everything about the inside of our plane is top of the line. You're gonna have better electronics and improvement communication with your towers. They're gonna be faster, more fuel efficient. The plane should be everything that you need and are looking for. The one thing that I want to talk to you, and I think that we can both be the most excited about, is you mentioned one thing that you wish that you could do if you had more money and more time is customize your seats and things. in that 4-month time period, this does make it a little bit more difficult, but we want to work with you and make sure that if you don't need 149 seats on that first plane, then we're going to be able to work with you and maybe put 130 so you can have more space and things like that you talked about. And we can have our design team work with you and work with whoever needs to be in that process to make sure that the planes are tailor-made to you.
Yeah.
So that's what we want for this, is that you know that you're not buying a plane that is a cookie cutter, that is the same plane that American Airlines and United and all these other companies are going to get for like, you're not going to be selling the same amount of seats. You want your own company, you want your own plane. And we want to work with you in that way. And so, and that includes things like you mentioned, how you would like the bathrooms to be a little bit better than, we do have a range of, like for sometimes we do work on these higher end jets and things. Like we do have different layouts and different things that we can work with. Obviously, it all has to be planned kind of with the airplane architect and designer, and things like kitchen equipment and things that will make the life easier for your passengers and your flight staff. But I think that's one of the things that we can both get the most excited about, is like, this is your plane, and we want that to be how it feels.
So how much additional would that cost me?
So, with this is our base price. So with that, I don't want to charge you anything more for that. But that being in the 4 months, for those 75, and for like, we don't want to go up from the price that we have. So that is like what you get.
So I would be able to do some seat customization, a little bit of bathroom customization on all 40.
Yeah, absolutely.
And get 30 of them, which is 75% in 4 months.
Right.
And then how much longer would it be to get the last 10?
Right. So the 4 months is going to cause a little bit of a bottleneck. So it's not going to be probably the industry. It's probably not going to be the 9 months, but it should never take longer than 12. So you'd have them in the year, but if because of those 75% in the 4 months, it would be a little bit longer than 9 for the other 30. But I'm not going to give you a specific time. I just know that it will be in between 9 and 12 months.
Gotcha. Is there a way that we could disperse this a little bit better so that I get the last 10 a bit sooner? So maybe if we delay the 75% to 5 months, would we be able to get the last 10 at 9?
Yeah, what we could do is we could do maybe 15% at 4 months, and then and then 65 at 6 months, and then 20% at 9 months.
And then 65, and then you said 20?
Right.
So the 15% would be at 4, you said?
Right.
And the 65 would be at 6? Is that what you said?
At 5.
5. And the 20% at 9?
Right.
Is that correct? So that actually sounds great to me. Yeah, that sounds awesome. So the 4.5 with 6 planes at month 4 with customization, 26 at month 5 with customization, and 8 at 9 with customization, and the customization isn't at an additional cost. So obviously I'm
No,
not
yeah.
going to be going wild.
Right.
But that
Right.
sounds fair to me.
Yeah, and
It
with
ticks all my boxes.
good. And so with that, I mean, we want because we want these plans to start coming out at that 4-month mark. We're gonna want our teams to get working together immediately,
Yeah, absolutely.
and hopefully get a design in the next few days that work the best.
Yeah.
And then that obviously they can deal more with that.
Mhm.
But everything is good for me as well. So
Yeah, awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, just as soon as I can meet with one of your designers would be awesome. So
Okay.
I can see some layouts, so I can see some textiles,
right.
that kind of stuff. So sounds
Cool.
good.
Sounds good. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you so much, Evan.
Yeah.
You did a lot better than I did.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Way better than I did.
Thank you.